So a desperate Dr. Oz, after his crudité video misfired in its attack on Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, is attacking Fetterman in a desperate attempt to try to keep his Senate campaign on track. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So we all know about Dr. Oz and his lying based upon his TV show, but in a recent interview with Laura Ingraham on Fox News, he showed just how much of a liar he is and how desperate he is to get his campaign back in the game. Let's check it out here.
And joining me now is Dr. Mehmet Oz, Republican candidate for U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania. Now, Dr. Oz, your team has come under fire for pointing out legitimate questions about Fetterman's stamina and mental acuity at this point. Isn't that a fair question to ask, given what's...
Okay, let's remember what these fair questions are that Dr. Oz was asking in response to John Fetterman's attack that landed when he pointed out to Dr. Oz that people in Pennsylvania don't call them crudités, they called a veggie tray. Dr. Oz responded with a highly inappropriate, if John Fetterman had ever eaten a vegetable in his life, then maybe he wouldn't have had a major stroke and wouldn't be in the position of having to lie about it constantly. How classy. Something tells me that attacking John Fetterman's health and lifestyle is not going to be something that's going to get Dr. Oz's campaign back on track, and more than anything, makes it clear just how desperate he's become in his flailing campaign. Let's see some more.
Stake for not just the people of Pennsylvania, but for the whole country with this one Senate race.
Well, as a physician, I feel badly that he's struggling. That stated, for democracy to work, Laura, you have to be able to answer questions from the press, from voters. You've got to hear what folks or your constituents are going to...
Now, let me make it clear. This video that Dr. Oz and Laura Ingraham are talking about was a video of a speech that John Fetterman gave to steelworkers in Pittsburgh. In this speech, there were a few awkward pauses, no question about it. And the video is edited in a way to make it seem like that was characteristic of his entire speech. Well, I've got to tell you, when I'm making these videos, I pause a lot as well, kind of to collect my thoughts and think about what I'm going to say next. And as some of you have witnessed when I've unfortunately uploaded the incorrect video, were it not for the editing, I'd be looking like someone who's largely incapable of putting together his thoughts coherently. So actually, I'm impressed at the ability of most politicians to be able to speak so convincingly at a moment's notice. And in fact, the people who were there said, and I quote, "I think he looked very sharp today, very sharp." So this edited video showing certain pauses by Fetterman and claiming that it's evidence of his mental incapacity is just one more example of a, shall we say it, lie? Let's check out more.
...saying he's just not been out there. And the question we're asking is a legitimate one. Are you hiding because you don't want to talk about your radical views? Or is it because your health is such a problem? And if it's the stroke that you had that's causing issues, come talk to us. Let's figure out some way we can have a debate. It's the best way for us to identify how we're different from each other and let the public decide who they want to vote for.
Now, this seems kind of ironic because here he is on the one hand claiming that Fetterman is hiding, and yet then he's also saying that Fetterman gave a speech. So which is it? Is he hiding or is he out giving speeches?
But if it's your radical views you're hiding from, I won't let you get away with that. I mean, you have the most radical position, John Fetterman, of any candidate for Senate in a contested race in this country. And it's my obligation and my duty to make sure voters in Pennsylvania appreciate that.
Well, this reminds me of the Biden campaign in 2020, does it not? I mean, he was essentially a hologram candidate. They only trotted him out rarely. They kind of cited COVID, campaigned in the basement, had a few debates, but it was...
Kind of cited COVID? This was the middle of the pandemic. The entire country was shut down during this campaign. Had a few debates. I mean, I think virtually all of us can remember the one debate that was such an embarrassment with Donald Trump's behavior, and after that, Donald Trump refused to participate in any more.
It was kid gloves treatment of Biden to protect him and to get Trump. And you see some of the same dynamics at play here, and they're seizing on every just idiotic points about something you said about crudité. Now that's the most important thing in Pennsylvania.
Okay, this is downplaying the issue here. The crudité comment was important because it just shows how out of touch Dr. Oz is. Mr. owns 10 houses but lies about it, claiming he only has 2 houses. Mr. claims that he lives in Pennsylvania but only moved there right before the election, and of that has lived in suburban New York City in New Jersey. That's why these attacks by Snooki and the effort to have Dr. Oz inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame have landed so strongly. This is a guy who's not in touch with the lives of the average residents of Pennsylvania, and that is a big issue.
As they're against fracking and claiming that they're for the steel workers and for the oil, for the oil guys.
Without question.
Okay, for the oil guys. That's, again, who they're really standing up for. I've done other videos where I talk about the fact that Fox News is basically a shill for the oil companies. And here they are again, standing up for the oil companies. It's worthy of note, by the way, that this speech that they're criticizing was given by Dr. Oz in front of steelworkers who were thrilled to have him there and who are extremely supportive of his candidacy, and who point out the fact that while he's called for regulation of fracking, which I think a lot of people support given the record of fracking, he's also been very aggressive in supporting jobs for hardworking Pennsylvanians. So this, again, is a baseless attack that really she's revealing what she's really doing when she talks about the oil guys.
Let me just walk through one example because it's a very hot topic in Pennsylvania. John Fetterman has argued we should release 1/3 of all prisoners in Pennsylvania. He's bragged about all the murderers that he has pardoned. Yet Philadelphia has got the highest murder rate ever. And that's up 60% since he's been in office. In addition, he wants to legalize all drugs, and create these heroin injection sites. We've got the largest open-air drug market in Kensington, in Philadelphia, in the country. And then he wants sanctuary cities with an open border. And he doesn't understand that brings fentanyl into our communities, and Pennsylvania has been hit harsh.
Okay, just so you know, as you're listening to Dr. Oz ramble on, these are all lies. And in fact, I'm going to link to an article down below from factcheck.org, as well as another one from PolitiFact that point out the depth of the lies that are being spewed by Dr. Oz here. They're complete misrepresentations of what has been done. John Fetterman has never said that he's for releasing 1/3 of the prisoners in Pennsylvania. And he also has not said that murderers should not get life sentences. These are just absurd claims. He also has not called for legalizing opiates. He has called, though, for legalizing marijuana, which, again, you see them kind of sidestep that issue here.
Top 5 in the country in fentanyl deaths. That's why when the Fraternal Order of Police endorsed me recently, it was unanimous. They were so angry at Fetterman. And here's the catch, Laura. The coast, California, New York, they are pouring money into his campaign. They just want to get the 51st seat. They don't understand how dangerous he is, how radical he is. And I argue, guys, come help. DrOz.com.
Okay, I can't sit here and listen to this because the reality here is John Fetterman has raised a lot more money than Dr. Oz. That is true. However, the vast majority of the money is coming from small contributions. In fact, according to OpenSecrets.org, which is a nonpartisan independent group that monitors campaign finances, they point out that in a recent quarterly report, Fetterman raised $2.5 million, of which $1.6 million of it, or right about 2/3 of it, are from contributors sending less than $200. In fact, in that one quarter, Fetterman received over 94,000 contributions. Again, the vast majority of them from small contributors. And in that quarter, 24,000 of them came from first-time donors. And in terms of where his contributions are coming from, well, he's got contributors representing 87% of the zip codes in Pennsylvania. This is, by the way, at the same time as we find out that Mitch McConnell is dumping a bunch of money into Pennsylvania to support Dr. Oz's candidacy. So who's being supported by the elites at the coasts? Let's check out more.
Is my site. Come support me. Make sure we can arm up and defend ourselves and also define who John Fetterman is. I'm putting a lot of resources in this campaign. We will win. We've dramatically closed the polls, as you know. But in order to compete, you've got to be able to explain to everybody exactly who John Fetterman is. Because he's hiding at home, as you point out.
But Dr. Oz, he is the ultimate phony populist. They obviously are worried about a more populist Republican Party because they're all trying to pretend to be populist. Tim Ryan in Ohio is doing the exact same thing.
Now, wait, John Fetterman is concerned about Dr. Oz seeming more like a populist than he is? Does he remember who talked about the crudités and didn't even know the name of the supermarket he was in? I think we know who's the real populist in this race. Let's keep watching.
Mark Kelly tries to play it, John Tester in Montana, and now this is just the most recent iteration of that. But they're destroying the oil and gas industry as they claim to be for the regular people.
I got news for them. The oil and gas industry is not regular people. Let's keep watching.
And the same thing with the steel industry as they want to ship our jobs overseas. So this phony
Just a reminder here, more jobs, more manufacturing jobs have returned to the United States under President Biden and the Democrats than did under Donald Trump and the Republicans.
Populism of Fetterman with the hoodie, that has to be completely exploded and exposed for what it is. To me, that's the winning way to win this election.
Well, it's frustrating because he's called fracking a stain on Pennsylvania. He called for a moratorium on it. He wants to regulate it to death. And then he points to his own hometown. He says, I was in Braddock. It's a small little town, 2,000 people. It's much smaller since he became its part-time mayor. Violent crime quadrupled under his watch. And then a year after leaving, the crime dropped 60%. There's a reason that John Fetterman has never actually had a real job.
Well, has he?
Okay, these are all misleading. I'm not going to go into the statistics, but it's worth noting that John Fetterman, unlike Dr. Oz, actually is from Pennsylvania. Let's keep watching.
Because
Well,
I don't
hold
think
on.
he can do a real job.
Yeah, well, speaking of a real job, has he agreed to a real debate? Any debates?
No, I've accepted from
Okay.
5 major media companies, 5 debates. He's not responded. He will not accept. I just need him to come out and play. He owes
What?
it to America.
Yeah.
He owes it to Pennsylvania to make sure that we can understand where he stands on these issues. He is far more radical than he acknowledges.
All right, that's
He's
a
not going to
headline.
become a hologram, as you point out.
He won't agree to debate. Dr. Oz, thank you. Why is he hiding?
So it's worthy of note, by the way, that John Fetterman has made it clear that he's going to debate Dr. Oz, and he's agreed to it. Dr. Oz simply sent out invitations to all these media sources claiming that he wanted 5 debates immediately, and when Fetterman didn't immediately respond to them, oh my God, he's not agreeing to debate. Well, this is all just smoke and mirrors to cover over for the fact that Dr. Oz is losing this election and should lose this election because he's a liar and he's not from Pennsylvania and he can't relate to the average Pennsylvanian. Personally, I'm very excited about Fetterman's campaign. I think that he really is an example of the direction that Democrats need to be going, where we need to show our commitment to average people and not be afraid of progressive positions. Dr. Oz and the Republicans keep attacking him for his extreme positions, but guess what? He keeps going up in the polls. The fact now that they have to resort to attacking his health just shows how desperate they're getting in this election. Well, if you want to see where I talked more about how Democrats can win back the working class and how John Fetterman is following the right strategy to accomplish that goal, check out this video I did over here. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.